right, Falconer TRX, what do we have here? Will the ACC collapse this year if 3 teams leave?
I mean, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough moving forward. I was listening to another podcast, and when they brought up the fact that the SEC took the, let me be judicious. Let me be nice with my words for once. When they took the path of least resistance in terms of continuing an 8-game schedule instead of going to 9 and just mirroring the schedule home and away for the 25 season, the guys on that podcast were like, "Oh yeah, like we're making fun of them, but pragmatically, that's something that you do when you think that you're going to expand, so you're going to have to redo the 25 schedule anyway." So, like, why go over the work to do something new? Because you're looking at what's happening with Florida State and Clemson and the ACC and everything. And it was funny, Mark, the day after we recorded last week, Dan Radakovich was asked about, where things stand with Miami and whatnot, and in terms of the conference. And he said exactly what I've been saying. Look, we're taking the path of letting those public schools take the PR hit, let them do the grunt work, and we'll figure out where we go from here. Like, it is known that we do not enjoy being in the ACC. We know that there are many, many gripes, but like, they're going to be the loud ones about it. They're spending the money to sue the conference. They're talking about all these things. They're trying to get the grant, because if Florida State were to have gotten the grant of rights document unsealed to the point where like everybody would have had access to it, and you could have then finally had a copy on site in Coral Gables, as opposed to the one copy like the the original Declaration of Independence, that lives in one place and you have to go visit it and not even have we don't even have the opportunity to have a reprinting of the grant of rights. But if Florida State would have won that motion, right, and then everybody could have, then Miami could have had one also. So like, they're doing the work and then we're reaping the benefit, but also setting up strategically where we're going to go moving forward. So I say all that to say it'll be interesting to see how those things work out, and if Miami is one of those teams and schools that moves forward strongly towards another conference. And again, I think that academic school rating that we obtained recently, the AAU, that is something that points us towards the Big Ten, because every member institution before the expansion this year, or even with it, I believe, is a member of that prestigious academic cadre. So like, our profile is rising in terms of that. So we're making ourselves, available there and everything. And like, what will happen with, the whatever is left of the ACC, they're going to have a real big question for them. So could it collapse? Absolutely. It'll be very interesting to see how these legal battles work, because Florida State and Clemson, they're screaming about it, but trust and believe, everybody is. I mean, you think that the University of North Carolina, another top 10 academic institution, a public academic institution, isn't looking and seeing what's going on? You think that the University of Virginia, who I do not like, their athletics or anything, but like, that's another fine research institution. So they say, hey, we would fit in the Big Ten, across the sports landscape. I know that Miami is looking at that, and everything. So it will be very, very interesting. But I'm not sure. But like, you take Miami, Clemson, Florida State out of the universe of the ACC, and that is nowhere near the conference that it is even today. And I know that the ACC fancies themselves like this wonderful basketball conference and whatnot, but like, even with that, I think that you see a step down across the board, even in some of the other sport. I mean, Florida State's won championships in women's softball, they did soccer, you know what I mean? Like, Clemson has competed in other revenue sport. Miami has had national champions in track, swimming, and diving. Estela Perez Somariba with the singles tennis championship. You know what I mean? Like, there have been like sports that are not necessarily just football, and things that are, extend further than just that one dimension, that if you remove that from the universe of the ACC, would be big holes to replace. So we'll see.
I've got a little pushback on that question, but we're going to table that because we're going to get going. We're going to let Kim tell us what's at State of the U.
Man, just transitioning into the spring, having some really great conversations. Justin Tatavio, Kappa Kane, Craig T. Smith, Mike Schiffman, all in there with everything. I know that I keep saying I need to let my fingers do the walking, and I promise that I will after this week because I have another 16-hour day ahead of me tomorrow. So we're going to run and get out of here, but stateoftheu.com is where you can go find us. Please come fan with us, and also please come back here next week, Wednesday. Bring a friend, a fan, or a foe, because hey, George needs some help in there. You know, he's Jon Snow against the Ramsay Bolton army in Game of Thrones, and that, you know, one great scene where, you know, he's fallen off of his horse, he draws his sword, and there's the force of 1,000 going just against him. This is before the Knights of the Vale and everybody else show up, but in that moment when he's there ready to go to war, him versus 1,000, imagine what it would be like if he brought a couple friends and you brought another couple friends to trample them down. So do that. We'll be here next week Wednesday. I'll see you then, and it'll be great. Let's go Canes.